Hey now, it's Sharon. I'm back to share some ideas on how we can better ourselves to include policing here in the U.S. on an individual basis. If you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the U.S., and I was also in the military, sharing ideas, thoughts, opinions, experiences as I was going through retaliation and ostracism while policing for telling the truth. And so I share my journey and what I went through those couple of years of being retaliated against and ostracized. I realized that I was questioning my identity as a individual, as a brown woman, as an officer, as a person who says I believe in the finished works of Christ. I was questioning all of that based on telling the truth. And so I wrote a book. Here it is right here. I hope you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. My Middle Eastern conflict, looking back at my future. It's on lulu.com, lulu.com, and it's $15. In that book, I share my day-to-day journal, most of it on what I was thinking, what I was going through at the time while being ostracized and retaliated against. And I mentioned identity. One of the things I questioned was my Christian identity. At the time, I was saying I was a Christian, and now I say I'm a believer in the finished works of Christ. Only because sitting alone a lot of times in the firefighters' lunchroom, I started to journal. I started to read peer-reviewed journals on faith, peer-reviewed journals on Christianity, books, the Apocrypha, more Bible, and I started to question this image right here, that image, not who it depicts, but the image, the person that bears that image, the model, if you will. And I discovered his name is Cesar Borgia, Borgia, I believe. And that, when I started to dig into that, that was a lot of information. And it was amazing because the white Christ never sat right with me ever since I was a little girl. I remember watching Good Times and Michael being the militant, if you will, and JJ painting Jesus black. He used the, the character, one of the wino characters as Jesus, made his face black and his eyes red. And like I said, I started to dig into what Christ looked like in his human suit, as a man that walked the earth. He was born into a Hebrew tribe. So I'm like, okay, so he had to look like something. But it wasn't that. It wasn't that guy. And I started to question it and dig into it and found out that the Bible is all about brown people like myself, Hebrews. Growing up, I did not see myself in the Bible. I saw most of the characters in the Bible as white. Simon, or Simeon, the man that carried Christ's cross, was a black man, and so I used to put my father's face on him. But in anything, I could not see myself in the Bible. Not until probably the last almost 20 years now, where I've been studying the Bible and reading and looking for answers, if you will, and questioning my identity as a Christian, as a believer in Christ. And so I went on to discover that I am Hebrew. I am a direct descendant of the ancient Israelites. In that alone, the history that's hidden, hidden deliberately from a lot of us brown folks. Black, I don't say black because I try not to say black. Is it really a skin color? Some people say yes. I say no. It's just a deeper brown. Some people are just dark brown. But yeah, I started to discover deliberate hiding of who I am in the journals, like I said, the peer-reviewed journals. Some of them I had to get from universities across the water. You pay and you could get the journals and stuff like that. And I started to read about the people I come from, because in my mind, here in the U.S., the education system starts with, I was a slave. So what were they before that? And what I saw in the media, they said we was running around naked, absolutely no self-control, nothing. And that's not true. We actually built cities, and the Benin Wall, the Great Wall of China, yeah, that's good. But if you look up the Benin Wall, you'll see that it was longer. It was a great structure that the British burned down. But I learned all these things because it's not in our American history. So my question is for black folks, because I asked white folks, particularly white men. I just want to just hear different perspectives, no judgment. But for black folks, brown folks, when did you find out that this picture represented a man who did some horrible things to his sister and stuff like that? When did you find out this man is not the true representation of Christ? Or do you believe that it is Christ? Or do you believe it doesn't matter? I'm just asking brown folks, black folks. I'd like to hear your opinion. If you could, drop a comment. Like I said, I like to learn different perspectives, just see it from different points of view, if you will. And yeah, black folks, brown folks, when did you find out? Because I remember back in the day, I used to watch Good Times in the 70s, and I remember Michael specifically, Black Jesus. And I used to laugh about it. I didn't take it serious. Now I take it serious. He walked this earth as a man, so he looked like me. He had a brown suit like I do. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. It matters. It matters. The truth matters. Or does it not? But like, subscribe, comment, definitely, for the brown folks. All spectrums of brown, from the whitest of the white to the darkest of the brown. Comment and let me know, when did you know the truth? And how does it affect the way you hold yourself up and hold your head up? Or it has no effect, or very little effect. All right. That's all I want to share. If you would like, subscribe, comment, and the link for the book will be in the description. I have an online store. The link for that will be in the description. And I'll come back next week. As is our tradition, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.